The first German village is introducing a social credit system modeled after China's. 8 points for buying organic, 10 for a rainwater toilet, and deductions for eating meat. Guys, what is going on here? Have we already reached Orwell here? Is he actually right about this? What we are seeing here is absolutely outrageous. We see that citizens are being harassed here. We see that Chinese conditions that don't exist somewhere, far away or something, but right on our doorstep. This is happening in Germany, and it's not happening in 20 years, it's happening now. This is exactly what all the conspiracy theorists, all the lateral thinkers, all the Bitcoin people have been warning about all along. I've said it so many times, hey, if you have CBDC here, then social credit systems will come. Or who knows what else will come. This isn't a direct CBDC, but it's something else. We'll look at that in a moment. But in any case, it says here, the district rewards brave eco-citizens. And then there are various points here. For example, if you make organic purchases, then you are better off. If you have a rainwater toilet here, we'll also go through all the things that are available later. You are also better off. It also says here that in the district of Mainspingen, a point system would be introduced to honor eco-citizens. And at first, that sounds good. At first, you might say, okay, someone who is doing well here and who does something good, they get extra points here. But the problem is who defines what is good and right here. And that's the green ideology we're trapped in here in Germany. Then there are some people who say, okay, if we do this and that, then it's really, really good. For example, if we bravely eat our earthworms here, then it's good. But if we eat any other meat-like things here, then it's really, really bad. And I'm saying this as a vegan. So just think about that. Even I, as a vegan, say that it's going too far to forbid people from eating meat here, and then even deduct points from people. And say, okay, you ate meat, now you get a worse credit rating. Now you have to expect some kind of fines here. Either no more access to the banking system, worse, credit rates, or who knows what else. But now I'm going to play you the entire article, because it's also available here in audio form. Then you'll really get an insight into what's currently going on here. And then we'll also later make the connection to Bitcoin, the digital euro, and CBDC, and how all of this is interconnected.
By Dennis Dreyer. Good Citizen, Bad Citizen. An initiative by the Mainspingen district is causing a stir. The district is recognizing citizens for climate-friendly behavior, rewarding low meat consumption and membership in organizations like Greenpeace. CDU politician Christina Schroeder, 47, is stunned and speaks out on X-Twitter of tendencies towards a Chinese social credit system, which she always considered to be hysteria. Until now, the Mainspingen district wants to visibly mark ecological good behavior, including low meat consumption and shopping, with green house numbers, according to Schroeder. There are 10 points for a rainwater toilet. The concept is by no means new for the CDU-governed district. In its current form, it has existed since 2015. On the website, it states the award for environmentally and climate-friendly households is given annually. Successful applicants also receive their own house number as a plaque, among other things. The application form covers a total of 84 areas. With 150 points or more, one is considered a climate and environmentally friendly household. An excerpt. Orientation of window surfaces to the south gives 5 points. Using rainwater for the toilet, 10 points. Permeability of the property for ground-dwelling animal species, 6 points. Primarily purchasing organic food, 8 points. Average meat consumption a maximum of twice a week, 4 points. Not owning a car, 5 points. Drying laundry without a dryer, 6 points. Inspectors visit on site. That the district takes the inspections very seriously was learned by Bild from an award winner. An inspector visited us on site and looked around. Everything had to be documented, says the proud winner of the most recent award in 2024. This year, applications are possible until May 31st. May. Greenhouse numbers are also awarded elsewhere in Germany. For example, in the district of Mainspessart in Vilshofen and in the Saarland municipalities. However, the people of Rhineland-Palatinate interpret the concept of climate protection particularly broadly. For instance, anyone who is a member of the Eco-Association Bund receives 3 climate points. Thus, the CDU-governed district ironically rewards membership in an association that was recently among the organizers of the anti-CDU protests. The district administration could not tell Bild within the specified time frame the criteria by which eligible associations are selected. Nor could they say how much money the taxpayer has to provide for the annual award and the signs that cost between 80 to 100 euros.
So you really have to see this for yourself. This is taxpayer money being thrown away to push through this green ideology. And this is an absolute Trojan horse that sounds great at first glance. The lovely eco-citizens and all. But it has absolute Orwellian vibes. I mean, the thought police is no longer gone, where you end up getting negative points like in Orwell. If you have the wrong thoughts here, the wrong ideas. I mean, it's already somewhat like that if you express the wrong ideas in the mainstream, then you get shot down here. But this is the test run. They're testing now, okay, how is this received? What do people think of it? The problem is, some people actually think it's cool. They even say cool, hey, I want to get myself a greenhouse number here. I want to be the eco-citizen of the supermarket here. But people don't understand that this is the downfall of a free system. I mean, China is really at the point where if you don't do the things that are listed here, like if you're not with Greenpeace, if you don't have a vaccination, or if you don't do certain things, like crossing the street at a red light, then, for example, you no longer get access to the supermarket because there's a barrier in front of every supermarket. And you have to do a check there, and if your social credit score or your social ID is just too low, then you don't get access to the supermarket, you don't get access to the subway, you don't get access to the train, the bus, and so on. These are all just examples, and all of this is possible, and it may start relatively harmlessly here. And it should also be said that this is more of a test run here. It's not being introduced nationwide in Germany or anything like that. I can't imagine that this will prevail here either. So, I also wonder what's going on in that village, whether the citizens aren't protesting. I mean, I would immediately protest here. Either I would immediately emigrate, book a flight to El Salvador, gone, goodbye, or really bring out the pitchfork here and fully protest because this can't be it. It should also be said that this is not a CBDC being introduced here, but rather everything is just running through screenwashing. That means people are basically being framed into a corner. That means, for example, then 5 people have a green sign, and then they are the super well-behaved citizens. And then there's a house that doesn't have a green sign, but instead has a pitch black sign. That's basically the climate sinner, as they say, because, for example, they don't eat worms here, but rather normal meat or something like that. And then they are considered the absolute climate sinner here. And then they are framed in the corner here. And that's just very, very unfair. Especially the question is, who defines these criteria? That means there's someone again playing God, defining these criteria, saying what's good and what's bad. And I'll say it again. For example, I am vegan now. I don't eat meat, but I still accept it when other people eat meat. Or just like I use Bitcoin, but I still accept it when other people, for example, use gold or silver or something like that. And just like I enjoy walking barefoot. But I also accept it when other people, for example, want to skateboard or rollerblade, or something like that. It's not simply my decision to rule over or dictate to other people. This is the absolute Orwellian nightmare being constructed here, which is starting very, very slowly, but could then continue to manifest itself more and more. The most extreme manifestation would be something like a CBDC system, like a digital central bank token, which is currently being planned, so digital central bank money. What I also found crazy is that you get bonus points if you are pro-Greenpeace here, or if you are a Greenpeace member, if you are a member of other organizations. But we now know that Greenpeace is the organization that partly campaigns against Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, in turn, is the tool that can change people's time preference. That means we have an organization here, like Greenpeace, which is being pushed further forward through such brainwashing stories, while Greenpeace only has the big surface up front. Yes, we are the cool lifesavers, we are the cool world savers, but behind the scenes, Greenpeace is running some Bitcoin bashing campaigns and such. And you really have to ask yourself if this makes sense, if this is really the world you want to live in. I mean, it already sounds like we're somehow going back to the Stone Age. Drying clothes without a dryer then gives 6 points, meaning we won't use a dryer anymore. I actually do this here in El Salvador, so I really don't have a dryer, but it's just a difference, whether you do it voluntarily, because to be honest, it's always 30 degrees. That's not a problem, but there's a difference if you do it voluntarily, or simply because the environment makes it possible, or if you are forced to do it here, then it means okay. Laundry without a dryer gives you 5 extra points here. Check this out, rainwater toilet. That means we're going straight back to the Stone Age. I mean, I don't think it's bad if someone does that. I think it's great if someone does that, a rainwater toilet. I also think it's great if someone doesn't use a dryer here. And I also think it's great if someone doesn't use a car. For example, I've actually never owned a car because I've somehow never needed one. So, I'm realizing right now that I really do fit into the green scheme. So everything that is somehow promoted here, I do that. But I do it on a voluntary basis. However, if I needed a car or I just never needed one because I was always in places where I didn't need one, but if I did need one, there would be nothing against owning a car. There's also nothing wrong if you have a car or something like that. And the really, really sneaky thing is that no negative framing is used here, but rather positive framing is used. That means you don't tell people, okay, if you eat meat now, you'll get points deducted. Or if you use a car now, you'll get points deducted, but instead, it's done the other way around. A positive framing point is the system where you simply say, okay, if you do certain things, for example, you always wash your dishes, then you get a point. If you walk to school instead of driving, you get a point. If you use public transportation instead of flying, then you get a point. And so you get the feeling that there are only rewards in the system. That means it's a system that works on rewards and not on punishment. And they do that very, very smartly. But that means, in return, that anyone who doesn't participate in this game and anyone who isn't ranked well automatically falls through the cracks and can then face major consequences and big problems. And what's really striking here was this statement. The district takes inspections very seriously, has learned from a prize winner. And now here's a quote. An inspector was on site with us and looked around. Everything had to be documented. That means you are also responsible for providing proof. It doesn't mean the state has to prove that you're a good citizen, but rather you have to prove it to the state. That means you basically need to have a rainwater claw here, you don't use a car here, and you have to document it later, you have to prove it to the state or the city or the village. It's not a state, it's a village. You then have to prove to the village that you earn the points. And if you don't do that, then you simply won't get a green badge here. And then all the neighbors around you, because they're all brainwashed too, say, look, he has a black badge, he doesn't even have a green badge. What kind of climate sinner is that? And you also want to belong here somehow. I mean, in the end, it's the social nature that's being exploited here. Humans are social beings. They don't want to be excluded from the community, from society. But if you don't go along with society, if you don't participate like this, if you don't have a rainwater toilet or don't eat earthworms or something, then you get excluded here. Because then you don't have a green badge, you get devalued, and other people say, oh, what a fool, he doesn't even have a green badge. Look how environmentally harmful he is. And it's all ideology that only takes place in the mind, because the one who eats normal meat is not worse than the one who eats earthworms. And the one who drives a car is not worse than someone who doesn't drive a car. Because it's not like the car would completely destroy the climate or something. Or as if the world would somehow end if we don't all eat earthworms or something. That's not the case at all. We just need to pull ourselves together. We really need to look and see, okay, where are the pain points? And instead of, for example, tearing down the central banks, instead of saying, okay, hey, let's introduce hard money here, instead of saying, okay, let's at least question the monetary system. We don't have to tear down the central banks right away, but we can at least get them to implement solid monetary policy again. Instead of addressing the big levels, the major leverage points, we prefer to say, okay, we have a poorly functioning system, we have politicians who have no idea what they're doing. We have a euro that's falling apart, we have a dollar that's falling apart. But instead of changing the current system, we just treat the symptoms. And we simply say, okay, we don't address the root causes, fix the incentives in the system, get things in order, new money, new politicians, new economic system. Just do a clean slate, maybe something similar to what the Department of Government Efficiency does, combined with Millet's Chainsaw Massacre. Or whatever, I don't know. But no, then we just say, hey, we need more control, more surveillance, social credit system, let's go. And anyone who doesn't participate can starve for all I care. That's a bit exaggerated, phrased. Write in the comments if you're up for eating worms. In any case, if you're looking for a way out here, Bitcoin fixes it. Not everything, of course, but at least you have an exit. When it comes to money, you can easily buy Bitcoin here at 21 Bitcoin. I'll put a link down here on how you can even use the code. Bitcoin hotels save up to 20% on fees when buying Bitcoin. I've had really great experiences here, and I've received recommendations from people who have used it. Guys, write in the comments what you think about it. Peace out.